The massive chamber on Nexus Prime buzzed with hundreds of different voices. Alien creatures from across the galaxy filled the seats, their strange forms casting weird shadows under the bright lights. Some had tentacles instead of arms. Others breathed poisonous gas through metal masks. A few floated in clear tanks filled with glowing liquid. Minho walked slowly down the center aisle. His black uniform looked simple compared to the colorful robes and armor around him. Behind him, 3 other humans followed. Jiwoo carried a small datapad. Her face showed no emotion as thousands of alien eyes watched them. Taehyun wore the blue uniform of a ship captain. His hand rested near his sidearm, but he looked relaxed. Haeun adjusted her thick glasses and studied the alien technology around them. The 4 humans looked tiny in the huge chamber. Most aliens were bigger than humans. Some stood 3 meters tall. Others had multiple arms or heads. But something about the way the humans walked made the alien voices grow quieter. At the front of the chamber sat the leaders of the Galactic Empire. The Vorthek were the most powerful species in the galaxy. They had ruled for over 10,000 years. Their leader, War Commander Thexnal, was twice as tall as a human. His forearms ended in sharp claws. His face had too many teeth. "So," Thexnal said in a voice like grinding metal, "the little humans have something to say." Laughter echoed through the chamber. It sounded like a zoo at feeding time. Some aliens made clicking sounds. Others hissed. A few just stared with their many eyes. Minho stopped at the speaking platform. He looked up at the thousands of creatures around him. His face stayed calm. When he spoke, his voice carried clearly through the chamber. "Leaders of the Galactic Empire," he said. "I am Ambassador Minho of the Terran Federation. I come here today to give you an important message." More laughter. Thexnal leaned forward in his throne. "Speak quickly, little human. We have important matters to discuss after you leave." Minho nodded once. "The Terran Federation knows that your empire has been growing for many years. You have taken control of thousands of worlds. You have made many species join your empire." "Conquered," Thexnal corrected. "We conquered them. They were weak. We were strong. This is the way of the galaxy." "Yes," Minho said. "We know about your methods. We also know that your scouts have found our worlds. They have seen our cities and counted our ships." The chamber grew quieter. This was new information. Most species begged for mercy when the Empire found them. They offered tribute or tried to hide. Humans were talking about it openly. "We know," Minho continued, "that your military leaders are making plans. They think our worlds would be easy to take. They think humans are weak because we are new to space travel." Jiwoo stepped forward and handed Minho a small device. He held it up so everyone could see. When he pressed a button, images appeared in the air above the chamber. The images showed human cities, human ships, and human worlds. "These are our homes," Minho said. "We have been in space for only 200 years. We have colonies on 400 worlds. By your standards, we are very small and very young." The aliens in the chamber murmured to each other. The images showed that humans had nice cities and decent technology, but nothing special. Their ships were simple. Their weapons looked basic. Several alien generals were already calculating how many ships they would need for conquest. "Therefore," Minho said, and his voice grew harder, "the Terran Federation gives this warning to the Galactic Empire. Our space is forbidden to your military forces. We seek peace with all species. We want to trade and learn from you, but we will not allow invasion of our worlds." The chamber exploded with noise. Aliens roared, clicked, and hissed with amusement. Some fell out of their seats laughing. Thexnal laughed so hard that his forearms shook. "You forbid us?" Thexnal finally managed to say. "You are barely able to fly between stars. Your entire species has fewer ships than one of our scout fleets. You forbid the Galactic Empire." Minho waited for the noise to die down. His expression never changed. Behind him, the other humans stood perfectly still. Jiwoo made notes on her datapad. Taehyun checked his watch. Hyun studied an alien translation device with professional interest. "Yes," Minho said simply. "We forbid you." More laughter. An alien delegate with 6 heads spoke up. "Little human, do you know how many species have said such things to us? Do you know what happened to them?" "We know," Minho replied. "We have studied your history carefully. We know about the Zenthari, who tried to fight you with their planet-killing weapons. We know about the Keth Coalition, who built the largest fleet in galactic history. We know about the Mortok Empire, who ruled a quarter of the galaxy before you came." The chamber grew quieter again. Those were old names. species that had been extinct for thousands of years. Where are they now? Thexnel asked, leaning forward. Gone, Minho said. All gone? Because they ignored warnings and made poor choices. Exactly. Thexnel stood up, his full height making him look like a giant. They are gone because we are stronger. Because resistance is useless. And you think your little warning will stop us? Minho looked up at the war commander. For the first time, something changed in his eyes. It was very subtle. Most aliens missed it, but Jiwoo saw it. Taehyun saw it. Hyun saw it and made a note. War Commander Thexnel, Minho said quietly, those species failed because they thought like you do. They thought strength meant bigger ships and more weapons. They thought war was about who could build the largest army. It is, Thexnel roared. Power is everything. We have 10 million warships. We control half the galaxy. What do you have? Minho was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was very soft, but somehow everyone in the chamber heard him clearly. We have something you don't understand, he said. We have something that none of those extinct species had. What? Thexnel demanded. Minho looked around the chamber one more time. His gaze touched on dozens of alien faces. When he spoke, every word was clear and careful. We know what we are. The chamber was completely silent now. Even the background hum of life support systems seemed louder. The Terran Federation hereby warns the Galactic Empire, Minho continued. Our space is forbidden to military vessels. Any attempt to invade our worlds will be met with appropriate response. We seek peace, but we are prepared for war. Choose wisely. He turned and walked toward the exit. The other humans followed. As they reached the doors, Thexnel called out, And if we choose to ignore your warning, little human? Minho stopped. He didn't turn around. Then you will learn why Earth is called a death world, War Commander. And you will understand why humans are the only species that calls it home. The doors closed behind the human delegation. For several minutes, the chamber stayed silent. Then the noise began again, but it was different now. Quieter, more thoughtful. Thexnel sat back down in his throne. His forearms drummed against the armrests. Around him, his advisors began to speak in whispers. War Commander, one of them said. Their ships are primitive. Their weapons are simple. Intelligence says they have no special technology. Yes, Thexnel said slowly. But did you see how they walked? Did you hear how they spoke? They showed no fear, another advisor noted. Most species at least show some concern when facing us. Thexnel was quiet for a moment. Then he shook his massive head. It doesn't matter. We are the Galactic Empire. We do not take orders from primitives. Prepare the 47th Conquest Fleet. We attacked their border worlds in 6 months. As the chamber emptied, one small alien stayed behind. Kexmi was old, even by the standards of her long-lived species. She had served as a translator for the Empire for over 800 years. She had seen dozens of species kneel before the Empire. She had watched hundreds of worlds burn, but she had never seen anything like the humans. As she walked slowly to her quarters, Kexmi remembered the look in Ambassador Minho's eyes. It wasn't fear. It wasn't anger. It wasn't even determination. It was pity. The Empire had been warned. And somehow Kexmi suspected that warning would be the last mercy the humans would show. Fleet Commander Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the screens show empty space. His massive form filled the command chair, and his 6 eyes studied the data streams flowing across the displays. Behind him, hundreds of officers worked at control stations. The sounds of a working warship filled the air, clicking keyboards, humming computers, and quiet conversations. The 47th Conquest Fleet was the largest force ever sent against such a small target. 50,000 warships spread across space in perfect formation. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a moon. Together they could crack planets and sterilize entire solar systems. Status report, Vextar ordered. All ships ready, Commander, his aide replied. We are at the edge of human space. Long-range sensors show nothing. Vexatar's eyes narrowed. Nothing? No ships, sir. No defense stations. No energy signatures. The border is completely undefended. That was strange. Most species at least tried to put up some kind of border patrol. Even weak civilizations usually had warning stations or scout ships watching their territory. Perhaps they have hidden their fleet deeper in their space, suggested Captain Mordak, the fleet's tactical officer. Or perhaps, said Communications Officer Zachnell, they have already run away. Several officers laughed at that. It wouldn't be the first time a species had abandoned their colonies when they saw the Empire coming. Take us to their nearest colony, Vextar ordered. New Incheon, according to our intelligence. The fleet moved forward. Faster than light engines bent space around the massive ships. Within hours, they arrived at the human colony world. Again, the sensors showed nothing. No orbital stations, reported the sensor officer. No defense ships. No weapon platforms. Are there people on the planet? Vextar asked. Scanning now, sir. The officer worked at his controls for several minutes. I'm reading large cities. Power grids are active, but something is wrong. Explain. The cities show full power, but I'm not detecting normal life signs. It's like the cities are running, but nobody is home. Vextar studied the planet on his main screen. New Incheon looked like a normal colony world. Green continents, blue oceans, white clouds. The night side showed the glow of city lights. Everything looked normal, too normal. Send a scout squadron to investigate, he ordered. Admiral Soman watched the alien ships approach from her command bunker 3 kilometers underground. The bunker had been built into solid rock and covered with enough dirt and stone to hide it from any scanner. Around her, dozens of technicians monitored screens showing the movements of every enemy ship. 50,000 ships, reported Tactical Officer Jahoon. They really don't take chances. They never have to, replied Communications Specialist Yerim. Until now. Soman nodded. For 6 months, every human colony had been preparing. People had moved underground. Weapons had been hidden. Ships had been disguised or moved to secret bases. Everything on the surface looked normal, but it was all a trap. The scout ships are landing in the main city, Jihoon reported. 12 ships, approximately 300 soldiers. Let them land, Soman said. Let them get comfortable. On the surface, alien soldiers walked through empty human streets. The buildings were intact. Cars sat in parking lots. Shops had goods on their shelves. But there were no people anywhere. This is very strange, muttered squad leader Grexnell as his team moved through a shopping center. Where did they all go? Maybe they're hiding in their homes, suggested one of his soldiers. Check the residential areas, Grexnell ordered. But be careful. This doesn't feel right. The alien soldiers spread out through the city. They found houses with food still on tables. They found schools with books still open on desks. They found hospitals with equipment still running. But they found no humans. Commander, Grexnell reported to his ship. This entire city has been abandoned, but it looks like they left recently. Very recently. Keep searching, came the reply. They must be somewhere. 3 hours later, Grexnell was beginning to think the humans had somehow evacuated their entire planet. His soldiers had searched hundreds of buildings and found nothing but empty rooms and silent machines. That's when the city came alive. It started with small things. Traffic lights began changing in patterns that forced the alien vehicles into specific streets. Street lights went out in some areas and blazed brighter in others. Electronic signs flickered with messages in human writing. What's happening? Grexnell demanded as his vehicle was forced to turn down a narrow street. Sir, the city's computer systems appear to be active, his driver reported. They're controlling traffic flow. So? Turn off the traffic signals. I can't, sir. Our vehicles are programmed to follow local traffic laws. It's an automatic safety system. The alien soldiers found themselves being herded like animals through the city streets. Every turn led them deeper into the urban maze. Every route they tried to take was blocked by barriers that rose from the street or bridges that retracted into buildings. This is a trap, Grexnell realized. That's when the shooting started. Fighter pilot Dong Yun watched through his targeting system as the alien soldiers ran for cover. His ship was hidden inside what looked like a large office building. The building's walls were fake. They opened like flower petals when he needed to launch. Dragon leader to all units, he said into his microphone. Targets are in the kill zone. Begin operation. All around the city, buildings began to change. Windows opened to reveal weapon barrels. Rooftops slid aside to show missile launchers. Streets split open and gun turrets rose from underground. The entire city was a weapon. Grexnell's soldiers tried to fight back, but they couldn't see their enemies. Shots came from every direction. When they fired at a building, the weapons disappeared and reappeared somewhere else. Retreat to the ships, Grexnell ordered. But when they tried to run, they found that their landing zone was surrounded by a wall of fire. Human weapons tracked their every movement. Alien soldiers fell one by one as invisible snipers picked them off. This is Squad Leader Grexnell, He screamed into his radio. "We need immediate evacuation. The humans are everywhere." Above the planet, Fleet Commander Vextar watched his scout ships explode one by one. Weapons fire was coming from the planet's surface, but his sensors couldn't detect the source. "How many human ships are down there?" he demanded. "None, sir," replied his sensor officer. "I'm not reading any spacecraft signatures." "Then what is shooting at our scouts?" I don't know, sir." Vextar watched another scout ship die in a ball of fire. Whatever was happening on the planet's surface was like nothing in Imperial military databases. "Send in the attack squadrons," he ordered. "Destroy anything that might be a weapons platform." 1,000 Imperial fighters swept down toward the planet. Their orders were simple: destroy any structure that could hide weapons. But as they entered the atmosphere, the planet's defensive systems revealed themselves fully. Every building, every bridge, every structure had weapons hidden inside it. The entire colony was one massive fortress. Human weapons were different from anything the Empire had faced. They were precise. They were fast. And they were everywhere. Dongyan led his squadron out of their hidden base and into the battle. His ship was smaller than the alien fighters, but it was faster and more agile. Human pilots trained differently than aliens. They trained to fight against impossible odds. "Remember," he told his pilots, "we're not trying to win this battle. We're trying to send a message." The battle raged for 6 hours. When it was over, the Empire had lost over 3,000 ships and 15,000 soldiers. The humans had lost 12 fighters and no ground personnel. From her underground bunker, Admiral Soman watched the Imperial fleet retreat to a safe distance. They were confused and angry. They had never seen defensive tactics like this. "Send a message to their fleet commander," she told Yerim. "What should I say?" "Tell him that was their one free lesson. If they want to learn more, it will cost them." Vexitar received the human message and stared at it for a long time. His aide waited nervously for orders. "Sir?" the aide finally asked. "What are your commands?" Vextar looked at the tactical displays showing his losses. Thousands of ships destroyed. Thousands of soldiers dead, and the humans hadn't even used their main fleet yet. "Contact Imperial Command," he said slowly. "Tell them we need reinforcements." "Many reinforcements? How many, sir?" Vextar looked at the planet where humans were waiting for his next move. He thought about the city that had turned into a trap. He thought about weapons that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. "All of them," he said. "Send all of them." Commander Seojin floated in the darkness between stars, his ship invisible against the black void. The stealth ship Ghost of Gwangju was unlike anything in the Imperial databases. It looked like empty space even when their sensors were pointed directly at it. "Supply convoy approaching," whispered Navigator Nari, her voice barely audible in the quiet bridge. 12 cargo ships, 6 escorts. Any survivors from the last convoy they found?" asked Seojin. "None," replied Intelligence Officer Yunji. "They're starting to think space monsters are eating their ships." Seojin almost smiled. Let them think that. It was better than the truth. The Imperial supply convoy moved slowly through space, carrying food, weapons, and fuel to the massive fleet attacking human space. They had no idea they were being watched by predators that had learned to hunt in the dark. "Marine teams ready?" Seojin asked. "Standing by," came the voice of Colonel Kyung-soo through the intercom. "My people are eager to meet our new friends." The cargo ships were huge, each one the size of a small city. They carried enough supplies to feed an army for months. The Empire had been running these supply missions for years without any problems. But humans didn't fight like other species. They didn't attack the fleet directly. They strangled it slowly. "Target the escort ships first," Seojin ordered. "I want those cargo vessels intact." The Ghost of Gwangju moved like a shark through dark water. Its weapons powered up silently. The human ship was smaller than any of the Imperial vessels, but its weapons had been designed with a very specific purpose: killing things efficiently. The first escort ship died without ever knowing it was under attack. A single precise shot destroyed its engine, then its life support, then its communications. No time for distress signals. No time for warnings. The second escort ship lasted 15 seconds longer. Its crew managed to detect something wrong before their ship became a cloud of expanding metal. 6 ships down, Nari reported. "The cargo vessels are trying to run." "Let them try," Seojin said. The cargo ships were fast for their size, but they were built to carry things, not fight wars. The Ghost of Gwangju moved between them like a dancer. its weapons reaching out to disable engines and communication systems. Within minutes, 12 cargo ships floated helplessly in space, their crews trapped inside metal boxes. "Colonel," Seojin called. "Your turn." "On my way," Kyungsu replied. The human Marines who boarded the Imperial cargo ships were not like other soldiers the aliens had faced. They moved differently, they thought differently, and they scared the Empire's forces in ways that defied explanation. Colonel Kyungsu led the boarding of the largest cargo ship. His team cut through the airlock in seconds and moved into the vessel like they owned it. The Imperial crew tried to resist, but they quickly discovered that humans had evolved to be very good at violence. The aliens were bigger and stronger than humans. They had natural armor and sharp claws. But humans had something else. They had learned to fight things that wanted to kill them. And they had been doing it for millions of years. "Secure the bridge," Kyungsu ordered as his Marines flowed through the ship's corridors. The Imperial captain was a Vorthak warrior, trained from birth for combat. He stood 3 meters tall and had enough strength to crush a human with one hand. When the humans entered his bridge, he roared a challenge and charged. Kyungsu stepped aside, grabbed the alien's arm, and used the creature's own momentum to send him crashing into a bulkhead. The captain tried to get up and found a human boot on his throat. "Sleep," Kyungsu said, and pressed a sedative injector against the alien's neck. The rest of the bridge crew surrendered immediately. "Ship secure," Kyungsu reported. "Cargo manifest shows food, ammunition, and medical supplies." "Good," Seojin replied. "Take what we need and destroy the rest." This was the part that confused the Empire most. Humans didn't want their supplies. They didn't want their ships. They didn't want their territory. They just wanted them gone. Yunji worked at the cargo ship's communication system, sending carefully crafted messages across Imperial communication networks. The messages were simple and always the same. "Leave human space. This is your final warning." But the Empire had never retreated before. Their pride wouldn't let them back down from a species they considered primitive. "Intelligence report," Yunji announced. "The Empire is sending another 1,000,000 ships to reinforce their fleet." "Good," Seojin said. "More targets." Nari looked at him with concern. "Commander, there are limits to what we can do. Even if we destroy every supply convoy, they still have enough ships to level our worlds." Seojin was quiet for a moment. Through the view screen, he could see the wreckage of the Imperial escort ships. Twisted metal floating in space like dead flowers. "Nari," he said finally, "what did you do before the war?" "I was a teacher," she replied. "I taught children about other species and cultures." "Did you like it?" "I loved it. I wanted to help humans understand our place in the galaxy." Seojin nodded. "I was a park ranger on New Busan. I spent my days protecting endangered animals and teaching tourists about conservation." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I want you to understand something important," Seojin said. "Humans don't want to be warriors. We don't enjoy killing. We don't want to rule the galaxy." He gestured toward the floating wreckage. "But we're very, very good at it when we have to be." The ghost of Gwangju finished its work and moved away from the destroyed convoy. Behind it, 12 cargo ships burned in space, their supplies lost forever. "Next target?" Nari asked. "Communications relay station in the Keth sector," Seojin replied. "The Empire needs to learn that their long-range communications aren't safe either." The stealth ship disappeared into the darkness between stars. Across Imperial space, similar scenes were playing out. Human ships appeared from nowhere, struck precisely, and vanished again. Supply lines disappeared. Communication networks went silent. Patrol fleets found only empty space where their bases used to be. The Empire's military leaders were beginning to understand that they weren't fighting a conventional war. This wasn't about territory or resources. This was about something else entirely. On the bridge of his flagship, Fleet Commander Vexitar studied reports that made no sense. His supply lines were gone. His reinforcements weren't arriving. His communications with Imperial Command were spotty at best. "How many ships have we lost to these ghost attacks?" he asked his aide. 40,000 confirmed destroyed, sir. Another 60,000 missing and presumed destroyed." "Missing?" "Yes, sir. They simply vanish. No wreckage. No distress signals. No survivors." Vextar drummed his claws against his command chair. "And how many human ships have we destroyed?" "Approximately 300, sir." 300? We've lost 100,000 ships and they've lost 300? "That's correct, sir." Vextar stared at the tactical display showing human space. Red icons marked Imperial fleet positions. Blue icons showed human forces. There weren't very many blue icons, but somehow they were winning. "Sir," his communications officer announced, "we're receiving another transmission from the humans. Put it on screen." A human face appeared on the main display. It was a young woman with kind eyes and a gentle voice. She spoke as if she was talking to children. "Imperial forces," she said. "You have been given multiple warnings to leave human space. You have chosen to ignore these warnings. Your supply lines are now cut. Your reinforcements will not arrive. Your communications with your command structure are being disrupted." She paused, and her expression grew sad. "You still have a choice," she continued. "Withdraw your forces and return to Imperial space. We will not pursue you. We will not seek revenge. We only want you to leave us alone." The transmission ended. Vextar stared at the empty screen for a long time. Around him, his officers waited for orders. "Sir?" his aide finally asked. "Your commands." Vextar thought about the 100,000 ships he had lost. He thought about the supply convoys that never arrived. He thought about the communications blackouts and the mysterious attacks. Then he thought about the orders from Imperial Command. Conquer or die trying. "Send a message to all ships," he said. "Prepare for full assault on the human homeworld. If we can't fight their ghosts, we'll destroy their home." His aide hesitated. "Sir, that would mean attacking civilian targets." "I know," Vextar said. "But we can't fight an enemy we can't find, so we'll make them come to us." The order went out across the Imperial fleet. Every ship began moving toward Earth, the human homeworld. If the humans wanted to play games with invisible ships and supply raids, the Empire would show them what real war looked like. But deep in space, aboard the Ghost of Guangzhou, Commander Seojin received the intelligence about the Imperial fleet's new target. His expression didn't change, but Nari saw something new in his eyes. "Commander?" she asked. "Send a message to Fleet Command," Seojin said quietly. "Tell them the Empire has chosen poorly." "What should the message say?" Seojin looked out at the stars, thinking of his home world and the billions of people living peaceful lives there. "Tell them," he said, "that the monster is awake." Fleet Admiral Hyunwoo stood in the command center of Luna Base, watching the tactical displays show the approaching Imperial fleet. 6 million warships were moving toward Earth, the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Around him, officers worked quietly at their stations, preparing for what everyone knew would be the final battle. "Status report," Hyunwoo said. "Imperial fleet will reach Earth orbit in 18 hours, reported Strategic Planning Officer Minji. They're broadcasting surrender demands on all frequencies. What do they want? Complete capitulation. They want us to disarm our fleets, surrender our leadership, and accept Imperial rule." Hyunwoo nodded slowly. He had expected this. The Empire's plan was simple: destroy humanity's homeworld and force the survivors to surrender. "Sir," Communications Officer Yosang announced, "we're receiving priority transmissions from all human colonies. Put them through." The main screen split into dozens of windows, each showing the face of a colony administrator or military commander. Men and women from across human space, all asking the same question. "Admiral," said the governor of New Seoul, "what are your orders? Do we evacuate?" "Admiral," asked the commander of the Jeju Defense Fleet, "should we bring our ships home to defend Earth?" Hyunwoo looked at each face in turn. These were good people who trusted him to make the right decision. They had families on Earth, parents, children, friends. Everyone they loved was about to be in terrible danger. "No evacuation," Hyunwoo said clearly. "No retreat." The faces on the screen showed confusion and fear. "Sir," the New Seoul governor said carefully, "they have 6 million ships. Even if we bring every human vessel home, we'll be outnumbered 1,000 to 1. "I know," Hyunwoo replied. "Then what are your orders?" Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was harder than steel. "Activate Protocol 7. The silence that followed was complete. Every face on the screen went pale. Protocol 7 was something they had hoped never to use. It was humanity's final option, created for the worst possible situation. "Sir," the Jeju commander said softly, "Protocol 7 means—" "I know what it means," Hyunwoo interrupted. "But they chose this path. They were warned. Multiple times. They decided to attack our civilians." He looked at each face on the screen, memorizing them. As of this moment, he said, the Terran Federation is at total war with the Galactic Empire. Not limited war. Not defensive war. Total war. The transmission ended. Across human space, colony administrators began implementing protocols that had been prepared but never used. Deep in underground bunkers, weapons systems came online. In hidden bases, ships that had never appeared on any official registry began powering up. For 200 years, humans had been preparing for this day. They had hoped it would never come, but they had prepared anyway. On Earth, Captain Jae-hyun received his orders aboard the dreadnought Indomitable Soul. The massive ship was hidden inside an asteroid that had been hollowed out and disguised. Around it, hundreds of other ships waited in similar concealment. All ships report ready, his tactical officer announced. Weapons status, all systems charged and ready. Planetary defense grid is online. Deep space monitors show Imperial fleet approaching on schedule. Jae-hyun nodded. The Indomitable Soul was not like other human ships. It had been built for one purpose, killing entire fleets. Time to intercept? 16 hours, sir. Very good. Signal all captains. We follow the plan exactly. Meanwhile, deep behind Imperial lines, Special Operations Commander Sana received a different set of orders. She commanded teams that had been living in Imperial space for decades, disguised as traitors, diplomats, and refugees. All cells report ready, her communication officer announced. We have people in position on 4,000 Imperial worlds. Confirmed targets? Government centers, military headquarters, and communication hubs on every major Imperial world. As ordered, we've avoided civilian targets. Sana studied the list of targets. In a few hours, the Imperial government would simply cease to exist. Not because their buildings would be destroyed, but because everyone who worked in them would be gone. Begin Operation Cleanslate, she ordered. The Imperial fleet reached Earth's solar system expecting to find desperate human ships trying to defend their homeworld. Instead, they found empty space. Where are they? Fleet Commander Vextar demanded. No ships detected, his sensor officer reported. The planet appears undefended. That's impossible. Every species defends their homeworld. Sir, I'm reading massive energy signatures from the planet's surface. And from the moon. And from... Sir, there are weapons platforms everywhere, hidden in asteroids, disguised as space debris. The entire solar system is a fortress. Vextar studied his tactical display. Red dots appeared all around his fleet as human weapons revealed themselves. There were thousands of them. Tens of thousands. How did they hide so many installations? Unknown, sir. Our intelligence never detected any of this. That's when the shooting started. The first wave of human weapons fire came from every direction at once. Massive energy beams reached across space to touch Imperial ships, and wherever they touched, ships died. But these weren't the precise limited attacks the Empire had experienced before. These were designed to kill everything. Captain Jae-hyun led the Indomitable Soul and her sister ships out of their hiding places. The human dreadnoughts were smaller than Imperial battleships, but their weapons were something entirely new. Fire, Jae-hyun ordered. The human ships opened fire with weapons that made no sense to Imperial military science. Instead of trying to penetrate enemy shields and armor, they simply deleted them. Matter conversion weapons turned enemy ships into energy. Gravity weapons collapsed Imperial vessels into tiny points of crushed metal. What are those weapons? Vextar screamed as he watched his ships die by the thousands. Unknown technology, sir. Our shields are useless. The battle raged for 6 hours. When it was over, 4 million Imperial ships were destroyed. The human fleet had lost less than 100 vessels, but Vextar still had 2 million ships left. And he was angry. Target the planet, he ordered. If we can't win, we'll destroy their world. Sir, that's 4 billion civilians. I don't care. Fire. 2 million Imperial ships opened fire on Earth. Enough firepower to crack the planet's crust and boil away its oceans. But the energy beams never reached the surface. Earth's planetary shield was something the Empire had never seen before. It didn't just stop the Imperial weapons, it absorbed them. All that energy was collected, focused, and redirected back at the Imperial fleet. Impossible, Vextar whispered as his own weapons destroyed his own ships. Sir, his communications officer called out. We're receiving reports from across Imperial space. Our worlds are under attack. What, by whom? Unknown forces, sir. Government buildings are being destroyed. Military leaders are disappearing. Command and control is breaking down everywhere. Bextar realized what was happening. While the Empire had sent its entire fleet to attack Earth, humans had been attacking the Empire's home territory. How many worlds? All of them, sir. Every Imperial world is under attack. On 4,000 Imperial worlds, teams like Commander Sana's struck at the same moment. Government leaders vanished from their offices. Military commanders disappeared from their bases. Communication centers went silent. But the humans weren't killing civilians. They were surgically removing the Empire's ability to function as a government. Sir, Vextar's aide said quietly, we're receiving a transmission from the humans. Put it on screen. Fleet Admiral Hunwu appeared on the display. Behind him, tactical screens showed the destruction of the Imperial fleet. His expression was calm, but his eyes were cold. Fleet Commander Vextar, he said, you were warned. Multiple times. You chose to ignore those warnings. You chose to attack our civilian population. Vexatar started to speak, but Hyunwoo continued. As of this moment, the Galactic Empire no longer exists. Your government is gone. Your military command structure has been eliminated. Your fleet is destroyed. You can't destroy an empire that spans half the galaxy. We just did, Hyunwoo replied simply. Your species and all Imperial member species have exactly 24 hours to withdraw from human space. After that, we will consider any Imperial presence to be a hostile force. And if we refuse? Hyunwoo's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. Then you will discover why humans are the only species to survive on a death world, he said, and you will understand why we tried so hard to avoid this war. The transmission ended. Around Earth, the wreckage of 6 million Imperial ships drifted in space like a metal graveyard. The largest fleet in galactic history had been destroyed in less than a day. But more importantly, across Imperial space, 4,000 worlds were learning that their government no longer existed. Local leaders were gone. Military commanders had vanished. The complex bureaucracy that held the Empire together had simply stopped working. On his dying flagship, Fleet Commander Vextar finally understood what Ambassador Minho had tried to tell them months ago. Humans weren't just another species to be conquered, they were something else entirely. They were the apex predators of a galaxy that had forgotten what real predators looked like. Send a message to all surviving ships, Vextar ordered with his last breath. Tell them to run. Tell them the humans are coming. But it was already too late. The Empire was gone, and humanity was no longer hiding what Reconstruction Commissioner Wu Jin stood in the same chamber on Nexus Prime, where Ambassador Minho had delivered his warning 2 years ago. But everything had changed. The proud banners of the Galactic Empire were gone. The throne where War Commander Thexnel had sat was empty. Most of the alien delegates who had laughed at human warnings were dead or missing. Now the chamber was filled with refugees. Diplomatic aide Dayun worked with her, team to process the endless stream of alien species seeking protection. Ships arrived daily carrying survivors from collapsed Imperial worlds. Some species had been part of the Empire for thousands of years. Others had been conquered just decades ago. All of them were now homeless. Status report, Wu Jin asked. We've processed 12 million refugees this week, Dahyun replied. Food distribution is stable. Medical care is being provided. Temporary housing is at capacity. Any problems? Some species are having trouble understanding our policies. They keep expecting us to make them slaves or demand tribute. Wu Jin nodded sadly. The Empire had taught the galaxy that conquest meant slavery. Most species didn't understand that humans wanted something different. Keep explaining, he said. They'll learn. Through the chamber's windows, he could see human ships in orbit around Nexus Prime. They weren't conquest fleets. They were hospital ships, supply vessels, and transport craft. Humanity had become the galaxy's aid workers. Military Governor Sungmin entered the chamber carrying reports from across former Imperial space. His uniform was clean, but his face showed the exhaustion of someone trying to manage chaos on a galactic scale. Commissioner, he said, I have updates from the outer territories. Good news or bad news? Both. The good news is that we've established contact with most former Imperial worlds. Local governments are forming, and most are requesting protection agreements with humanity. The bad news? 300 species have gone extinct. Wu Jin closed his eyes. This was the part that kept him awake at night. Humanity had destroyed the Empire to protect themselves, But the collapse had triggered disasters across the galaxy. How? Social collapse mostly, Sungman explained. Many species depended completely on Imperial infrastructure. When we removed their government, their entire civilization fell apart. Food distribution stopped. Medical care ended. Some species just gave up. Cultural liaison Isul approached, carrying her own reports. Her job was perhaps the most difficult, helping alien species understand humans. Commissioner, she said, I've been working with the Kethtar survivors. They want to know why we're helping them. What did you tell them? The truth. That we're trying to help them rebuild. But they don't believe it. They think it's some kind of trick. This was the challenge humanity faced across the galaxy. Most species couldn't understand why the humans who had destroyed their empire were now working so hard to help them survive. Keep trying, Wu Jin said. Time will prove our intentions. Old Kexmi, the translator who had survived the empire's fall, approached the human delegation. She moved slowly, her ancient body showing the strain of recent events. Commissioner Wu Jin, she said in her careful human speech, may I speak with you? Of course. I have been alive for 1,000 years, Kexmi said. I have seen many species rise and fall. I have watched the Empire conquer world after world, but I have never seen anything like humanity. Is that good or bad? I don't know, she admitted. You destroyed the most powerful empire in galactic history in less than a week, but now you're using all your resources to help the survivors. I don't understand. Wu Jin studied the old alien's face. Her species had been among the first conquered by the Empire. She had spent centuries serving masters who saw her as property. What don't you understand? Why do you care? You won. You could take anything you want. You could rule the galaxy. Why are you helping us? Wu Jin was quiet for a moment. Around them, human aid workers continued distributing food and medical supplies to alien refugees. Human doctors treated species they had never seen before. Human engineers worked to repair damaged ships and habitats. Because, Wu Jin said finally, this is what we wanted all along. I don't understand. We never wanted to rule the galaxy, Kexmi. We wanted to be part of it. We wanted to trade with other species, learn from them, share knowledge and culture. The Empire made that impossible. So you destroyed it? Yes. But we didn't destroy it to take its place. We destroyed it to make room for something better. Kexmi looked around the chamber at the thousands of refugees being helped by human volunteers. What happens now? She asked. Before Wu Jin could answer, an aide approached with an urgent message. Commissioner, we're receiving a delegation from the Outer Rim Coalition. 12 species that were never part of the Empire. They want to establish formal relations. Good. Schedule meetings for tomorrow. Sir, they're requesting immediate audience. They seem concerned, Wu Jin understood. Word of humanity's capabilities had spread across the galaxy. Species that had never encountered humans were wondering if they would be next. Bring them in. The delegation that entered was unlike the Imperial representatives who had once filled this chamber. These aliens moved carefully, respectfully. They didn't laugh or sneer. They watched the humans with the wariness of prey animals encountering an unknown predator. Their leader was a tall, thin creature with 6 arms and silver skin. She spoke in heavily accented human language. I am Speaker Valandra of the Outer Rim Coalition, she said. We come seeking understanding. Welcome, Wu Jin replied. How can we help you? We have heard stories. Impossible stories. That humans destroyed the Galactic Empire in days. That you eliminated species that had ruled for millennia. We come to ask, what are your intentions toward the rest of the galaxy? Wu Jin exchanged glances with his colleagues. This conversation would determine humanity's relationship with thousands of species. Our intentions are simple, he said. We want peace. We want trade. We want friendship. We want to learn about your cultures and share our own. That's all? That's all. Valandra's 6 arms moved in what might have been confusion or relief. But you have such power, such weapons. Why don't you use them to conquer? Isil stepped forward. This was exactly the kind of question she had been preparing for. May I tell you something about human history? She asked. Valandra nodded. Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other on our homeworld. We had countless wars, built terrible weapons, caused unimaginable suffering. We learned something important from all that violence. What? That conquest doesn't bring happiness. That ruling others doesn't bring peace. That the only way to be truly safe is to live in a galaxy where everyone feels safe. Valandra considered this. But the Empire believed in strength through conquest. And where is the Empire now? Isol asked gently. The alien delegation was quiet for a long moment. What do you want from us? Valandra finally asked. Nothing, Wujin said. Trade if you're interested. Cultural exchange if you'd like. Friendship if possible. But we don't want anything from you that you're not willing to give freely. And if we refuse, if we want no contact with humanity, then we'll respect that decision and leave you alone. And if we become hostile, if we threaten human space, Wujin's expression grew serious. Then you'll receive the same warning we gave the Empire. And we hope you'll be wiser than they were. The chamber fell silent. Everyone understood the implication. We have established a simple principle, Wujin continued. Peaceful species are welcome as friends and partners. Aggressive species are given warnings and opportunities to change. Species that threaten human civilians or our friends. He gestured toward the viewport where the wreckage of Imperial ships still drifted in space. The choice is always yours, he said. We prefer friendship, but we're prepared for any alternative. Valandra bowed deeply. The Outer Rim Coalition chooses friendship. Excellent. Dahyun will help you establish trade agreements and cultural exchange programs. As the alien delegation left to begin negotiations, Old Kexmi approached Wujin one final time. I think I understand now, she said. Oh? Humans aren't conquerors. You're gardeners. Gardeners? Yes, you remove the weeds so that good things can grow. Wujin smiled sadly. That's a poetic way to put it. Will the galaxy be better now that the Empire is gone? I hope so. But that's up to everyone else. We've given them the opportunity. What they do with it is their choice. Kexmi nodded and moved away to help with refugee processing. Around the chamber, the work of rebuilding galactic civilization continued. Human aid workers helped alien families find new homes. Human doctors treated species whose biology they were still learning. Human engineers designed new infrastructure for worlds that had lost everything. As the day ended, Wujin stood alone at the viewport, looking out at the stars. Somewhere in that vast darkness, thousands of species were deciding what kind of galaxy they wanted to live in. Humanity had given them that choice. It was the greatest gift they could offer. Behind him, carved into the wall in every known language, was humanity's promise to the galaxy. We seek peace among the stars. We offer friendship to all who desire it. We will defend those who cannot defend themselves. But we will eliminate any threat to the innocent. Choose wisely for the consequences of your choice.